Welcome to Chapter 1, The Early World. This is where the story of the Bible begins, the first of 12 chapters that help us follow God's plan from creation through the fall and all the way to his rescue mission. Before we meet Abraham, Moses, David, or Jesus, we must first understand the beginning, the world God made, the people he loved, and the promise he made to save them.
Mom, can you teach me about the Bible?
Of course, my love. The Bible is one big story, and we are going to follow it like a golden line from the very beginning all the way to Jesus.
Why are there 12 chapters?
Because the Bible is a very big story, and these 12 chapters help us understand it step by step. Chapter 1 is called The Early World. This is where the story of the Bible begins. Before Abraham, before Moses, before David, before the prophets, and before Jesus was born in Bethlehem, the Bible begins with God creating the world. The golden line begins in the early world. God made the heavens and the earth. He brought light into darkness. He made the sky, the land, the seas, the plants, and the animals.
Like he was building a new home.
Exactly. God prepared the world like a beautiful home. Everything was ready for mankind. God created Adam and Eve and placed them in the Garden of Eden. But they were not just another part of creation. They were made in the image of God.
What does that mean?
It means they could know God, love God, choose, speak, create, and care for the world. They were made for a close relationship with Him. The golden line passes through Adam and Eve because the human story begins with them.
Did God give them rules to follow?
Just one. God told them they could eat from the trees in the garden, but there was one tree. They were not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Why did God give them that command?
Because love needs trust. God was teaching them that life is good when they trust Him and walk with Him. Walk with Him. Then another voice entered the garden. The serpent came to Eve and began to speak. He questioned what God had said and made Eve doubt God's goodness.
So he lied to Eve.
Yes. He told Eve that if she ate from the tree, she would not die. He said she would become like God.
But Adam and Eve were already made in God's image.
Exactly. That is why the lie was so dangerous. The serpent tempted them to take for themselves what God had already given them in love. Eve looked at the fruit, took it, and ate it. Then Adam ate it too.
So they stopped trusting God.
Yes, they chose their own way instead of God's way. That is what sin is, turning away from God and choosing our own way.
What happened after that?
Everything changed. Adam and Eve felt shame. They hid from God. God came looking for them even after they disobeyed. There were consequences for sin. Life would become painful and difficult, and death would enter the human story.
Is the golden line broken?
No. That is the amazing part. Even in the sadness, the golden line keeps moving. God gave a promise. One day, a descendant of the woman would crush the serpent's head. The serpent would wound his heel, but the promised one would defeat the serpent.
Is that promise about Jesus?
Yes. Jesus is not named yet, but the promise begins here. The Bible will slowly reveal him as the golden line continues.
So God already had a rescue plan?
That is why this chapter is so important.
What happened to Adam and Eve?
They had to leave the Garden of Eden because sin had entered the world. But the story did not end there. The golden line continued outside the garden through their family. Adam and Eve had children, and the human family began to grow. But sadly, sin also grew. Two of their sons were Cain and Abel. Cain worked the ground, and Abel cared for sheep.
Did something happen between them?
Yes. Cain became angry and jealous of Abel. God warned Cain that sin was crouching at the door, and Cain had to rule over it.
Did Cain listen?
No. Cain rose up against his brother Abel and killed him. It shows how quickly sin spread. First, Adam and Eve broke trust with God. Then Cain broke love with his brother.
So the problem was getting worse?
Sin was not just outside in the world, it was now inside the human heart. God saw what happened. Abel's blood cried out from the ground. Cain had to leave and wander, but even then, God showed mercy by protecting him. As people multiplied, sin spread even more. The world became full of violence and corruption. People turned away from God's way.
Did the golden line disappear?
God still preserved the golden line through a man named Noah.
Who was Noah?
Noah was a righteous man in his generation. He walked with God. God told Noah to build an ark because a great flood was coming.
A giant boat?
Yes, a huge ark. Noah obeyed God. He built the ark. And God brought Noah, his family, and the animals safely inside.
Then the rain came.
Yes. The flood came, and the waters covered the earth. The flood shows that sin brings judgment, but the ark shows that God also provides rescue.
So judgment and rescue are both in the story.
Exactly. God is holy, but he is also merciful. After the flood, the waters went down and the ark rested. Noah and his family came out onto dry land. It was like a new beginning for the world. God placed a rainbow in the sky as a sign of his covenant. It was his promise that he would never again destroy the earth with a flood.
So everything was fixed?
Not completely. The world had a new beginning, but the human heart still had the same problem. Sin continued after the flood. People gathered on a plain and decided to build a city and a great tower. This was the Tower of Babel.
Why did they build it?
They wanted to make a name for themselves. They wanted glory for themselves instead of honoring God. The tower showed their pride. They wanted to rise up by their own power. Very much like Adam and Eve. They wanted greatness without trusting God.
What did God do?
God confused their language. Suddenly, they could not understand each other. So they stopped building the tower and scattered across the earth.
So chapter 1 goes from one garden to many nations.
Exactly. It begins in Eden with Adam and Eve, and it ends with the nations spread across the earth.
Where is the golden line now?
The golden line begins to narrow. It does not follow every nation at once. It follows one family line, Abram, later called Abraham.
Let me see if I understand. God made the world good. Adam and Eve sinned. God promised a rescuer. Sin spread through Cain and Abel. Noah was saved in the ark. The nations scattered at Babel. And then the story moves toward Abraham.
That is exactly right, my love. The golden line is the path to God's promise. Without chapter 1, we do not understand why the world is broken, why people need rescue, or why Jesus comes. The early world ends here, but the promise continues.
Then let's follow the golden line.